Hello viewers and welcome into episode 27 ahead of the Imola Grand Prix round number 4 in our second season of this F1 Manager 22 save with the Mercedes team. I hope I find you very well. If you are new around here, hit that subscribe button down below, and if you are enjoying the series still, hit the like button on the video. I really do appreciate it, as last time out we did have our best result of the season so far. So we're looking to push on and hopefully go above Alfa Romeo in the constructor standings. As you can see here, we're currently sitting in 4th place, tied with Alfa Romeo, who've had a brilliant start to the season. Red Bull and Ferrari are out in front at the top of the constructors standings. Drivers wise, Lewis Hamilton is not having the best start to the reign of his 8th World Drivers' Championship, which he won last season. As I pressed the wrong button there, I'll go back to my emails in a second. But he's currently down in P6, George Russell in P7, and there's a big gap to Carlos Sainz at the minute, the leader in the championship. But we've got a whole bunch of upgrades that we're looking to do in the near future, and that was what we'll hopefully be able to push on to at the next part of this season. As you can see, first of all, our design center has been upgraded, so most importantly the engineers have gone up from 10 to 15, which is absolutely brilliant for us. It means we can hopefully produce more stuff in terms of our new car parts, but we can also look at research and stuff like that. Right, car part unlocked. I will go to the vote regulation results next, but now that the technical regulation voting is complete, we know what our parameters are for the car development next year, so we can start researching almost straight away. A difficult race for us it was, but we finished the highest that we finished so far this season, I believe, as a team. So some positive steps so far. But right, here we go. FIA regulation results. Thank you for voting on the proposed minor technical regulations. The majority have voted in favour, and we were one of them. Aston Martin, AlphaTauri and Williams, the only teams to vote against the airflow changes for next season. So that is what we need to do. So if we look at the car parts development and we look at new projects, if we don't have any engineers available yet, but we're gonna look into researching a bunch of car parts, as the manufacturing of the underfloor spare parts are done, and we also are gonna have some more manufactured parts come in a little bit later. Are we? No, we're there now at the Imola Grand Prix. So let's take a look here at some of our race preparation. Right, so qualifying position, one car in the top 4. I don't see that one happening at all, so we're probably gonna mess up there. So what we're gonna do is put 2 cars in Q3 and 2 cars in Q2, so that way we can make up a little bit more money. Fastest lap, don't see us doing that one either. So finishing position, 2 cars in the top 10, and finishing position, we're going to go with 2 cars in the top 10, and then qualifying position streak, 1 car in the top 6, and then finishing position, we're going to go with 2 cars in the top 10 for 3 races. Hopefully we can do that as a little bit of a streak. Imola, I'm not expecting the best results. I don't think we can overtake round here very well. There's 1 DRS zone and we don't have any major upgrades on the car. Looking at the parts, we've got chassis new, front wing the only one, rear wing only 1, side pods we've got the newest version, underfloor we've got the newest version, and suspension we've got the newest version as well. So until we can get some more upgrades on the car, this is what we are doing. The final thing we do want to do is George Russell has 1 development point, and we are going to put that on his braking. We're going to up that by 1. So let's look at Nick De Vries. He's got a development point as well. We'll give him braking as well, so that goes up to 80. Lewis Hamilton doesn't have another one, but he is pretty well rounded as it is. Let's head on to the Imola Grand Prix. home of Ferrari, one of 2 Italian races this season, and let's see if we can make any progress up the field.
The hills of Tuscany are green to the south, but here in Imola the air is red hot. Welcome to Ferrari's turf for the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix. The track has been around since the 60s, but the first official Formula One race was held here in 1980. Let's see what excitement lies ahead this year. This is Imola, and it's an old school track with plenty of elevation changes and lots of corners. There's only one DRS zone here, but it follows the long straight right before Tamburello, and should see plenty of action. At this early stage in the season, there are still plenty of opportunities for things to change. In this sport, there simply are no guarantees. What will happen this weekend? Only time will tell.
Right, so here we are in Italy. Cloudy for the first 2 days, Friday and Saturday practice and qualifying, but looking at the race, we do have some rain on the horizon, so that could come into our favor if there's going to be some intermediates or some wet tires potentially. We might be able to pick up some places if we do pit stop at the right time. As always, we will run our test plans, we will do our car setups, and if there's any highlights here for practice, I will bring them to you as they come. Huge crash, bringing a yellow flag and a virtual safety car here in practice one as Zhou Guanyu goes off in the Aston Martin. Virtual safety car is now pretty much ended. Looking at our times at the minute, George Russell is going around and is in P10, Lewis Hamilton up in P4, but I wouldn't really take much notice of that because the two Ferraris and also Sergio Perez have all gone out on hards, as has Valtteri Bottas and Pierre Gasly. They're on worse tyres than us. The impressive one, though, is Esteban Ocon, currently in P2 at the minute on the soft tyre, 0.2 of a second faster than Lewis Hamilton. So, yeah, really difficult to keep up with the pace of the Alpine at the minute. Not the best practice session then for Aston Martin, as Daddy's favourite Lance Stroll crashes at the exact same spot that Zhou Guanyu has. So yeah, not the best session for the men in green. Lewis Hamilton's back out for the final 9 minutes of this session. He is up in P6 at the minute, 0.6 of a second of Charles Leclerc. So a lot of work to do there. Ferrari 1-2 in their home Grand Prix. Who's really surprised there? George Russell, he's currently down in P14, so we are going to push with him for a couple of laps, see if we can get some decent times out of it. Let's just push the remaining nine minutes and see if we can give ourselves a little bit of a feel-good factor in this practice one. Another huge crash then here in practice, and it's the exact same spot. It's Mick Schumacher this time crashing in the Williams, as that little push that we've done on these new tyres puts Lewis Hamilton up to P2 and George Russell up to P3, as George Russell actually goes to P2, 0.1 of a second off Charles Leclerc. I don't really think it means much time-wise. We're pushing. I don't think anyone else is. A lot of cars are kind of holding themselves back. So yeah, we're going to drop it back down to standard. Some decent pace in the car, and we're just trying to get as much feedback as we can from the end of this practice session. But with 5 minutes to go, yeah, we're doing okay. And that is how we end the session then. Decent showing from two Mercedes up in P2 and P3. Charles Leclerc leads the way up in P1 in his Ferrari. Any grid penalties? No, there aren't any at all. So let's head to practice 2 with some more feedback, trying to get as close to 100% as possible. Right, into practice 2, and Lewis Hamilton is sitting P5 time-wise and 89% on the setup, so that's good. We've got 2 optimals, 2 greats, and a good. So tire camber wise, we're gonna go that way. I think we're gonna go up 1 because both of those are on great, and then traction is the other one that we need to think about. So it's, yeah, something like that. And George Russell's down at a 79%, so not the best. 3 greats and 2 good. So yeah, we've got a little bit more work to do on the side of things there. Let's do something like that. Yeah, let's do something like that, and we'll send George Russell back out. But yeah, so far so good. Lewis Hamilton in P5, George Russell in P8, out on the mediums. Track acclimatization, we're up at 37% and 38% for George Russell, so good stuff. If we could get to around about 55% in this session, and then in the final session, we'll send them all out on the hard tires, and we'll do something like that. So yeah, let's push on and try and get some more feedback. Right, end of practice 2 then, as Lewis Hamilton's in P8, George Russell's in P9. They're coming into the pits now. Let's fast forward on. Let's take a look at the setup wise as Charles Leclerc tops the time sheets once again. Track acclimatization 53% and 52%. So we're going to do some long runs on the hard tire. Let's fast forward. We don't need to worry about this cut scene here. But yeah, it's all about the final setup and car setup wise. We've got 3 optimals there with Lewis Hamilton, so we were at a 94%, so I think we are pretty close. So we're going to keep that compound wise for Lewis Hamilton. Hard tires and run plan, we're just going to go very, very long. We're going to go 30% so far, and then George Russell car setup, he has got a great and a good. We didn't really get much feedback there, but his cornering is not good at all. So yeah, let's do something like that with our George Russell car and hard tires on long run. Actually, we're going to go 15 laps with George Russell because he is going to have to come in and give us a little bit more feedback. Actually, we are going to do is 16 laps because 15 laps last time wasn't enough. And then we're going to go into practice 3 and we're going to send them out. George Russell first. It's his turn to go out first this weekend. Fast forward done. And then Lewis Hamilton, who's just going to stay out for the track acclimatization. There we go, guys. Our first 100% setup of the season. Brilliant stuff there for Lewis Hamilton. 20 laps now until the end of the session. We're just going to refuel. He's currently on 86% for track acclimatization. And yeah, we're going to be out now to stay out until the end of the session to get 100%. George Russell on the other side of the garage, not having the best time of it setup wise. I think his best setup is maybe about 79%. So it's been a bit of a struggle in George's car, but we're nearly there at the end of this session. Let's fast forward on and get him back in, make some final adjustments if we can, and then just send him out for the final track acclimatization for him. Right, end of Q3, sorry, practice 3, and Lewis Hamilton finished down P16, George Russell P11, but we spent all of our time on the hard tyre. We're bringing Lewis Hamilton in 100% on his setup, but I do think his track acclimatization's only at 99%. We weren't able to get the 100% on him just yet, but we're bringing him in just so that we can get that performance bonus just a little bit.
That's it for the session.
George Russell finishes on 81% track acclimatization. As in comes Lewis now. A little bit of a struggle with George Russell this weekend, but yeah, still can't really complain as we take a look here at George Russell coming to the pits as well. Let's head on to qualifying, and hopefully this time both guys can make it into Q3, unlike in Australia. Right, coming to the end of Q1, I think we should be okay. Lewis Hamilton just started his flying lap now. George Russell's on his. We are on a set of used soft tyres though, so maybe that's a bit of a mistake. But George Russell currently down in P10, Lewis Hamilton in P9. I don't see 5 cars finishing above us. Looking at the timesheets, Gasly will probably go above us. Maybe Albon, maybe Vettel, but I don't see the 2 Williams, the 2 Aston Martins, or for sure in the Haas going above us. But are we improving? Middle sector is personal best for George Russell, personal best first sector for Lewis Hamilton, so not too bad. Let's follow on with George Russell as we come to no, what on earth is happening with this refuel thing? I don't know why it keeps happening, but yeah, we're going to ignore that, and that's the end of the session. George Russell in P10 as Lewis Hamilton's coming to the end here. Let's take a look at George Russell's time. Right, he's been beaten by Pierre Gasly, but Alexander Albon is behind. I'm assuming we're going to get that same error message with Lewis Hamilton as well. Yeah, we're going to ignore that as he sprints towards the end. He's on for a personal best lap, so he should improve it, surely. Crosses the line and improves by a little bit and is up to P8. So both of us are through to Q2, but Lewis Hamilton just, and if this is anything to go by, then George Russell might be out in Q2 next time out. Right, okay, 2.5 minutes to go. We're going to send out George Russell now on the fresh soft tyres, and Lewis Hamilton goes out as well. Both of our drivers are looking a little bit in trouble here, but we did go out on used softs. We've got brand new softs on now. So George Russell, currently down in P15, has to improve by at least probably 0.3 of a second to be comfortably in the next stage of qualifying here. I'm not sure he's got it in him. Lewis Hamilton in P9 currently. He should be okay to get through to Q3. Let's follow on then with George Russell as he's coming towards the end of Sector 1. He should surely have a personal best here on the fresh tyres. He does. So what sort of time are we looking at here? We have to improve at least by 0.2 to being comfortably 0.3 of a second. Do these soft tyres have 0.3 of a second in them on this set? As Lewis Hamilton just about comes to the end of Sector 1, he goes personal best as well. We just need to get into Q3. Come on, George, I'm sure you've got it in you. Please, we need you to improve just enough as he's gone personal best middle sector. But what is it in comparison to the likes of Magnussen and Gasly? Right, Pierre Gasly's finished his lap. Kevin Magnussen's finished his lap. 0.2 of a second, and George Russell should be in as Daniel Ricciardo goes up to P8. Lando Norris is in P7. I'm not sure. Let's ignore that, because otherwise we're going to have some fueling issues as we cross the line and slow down. As George Russell crosses the line, and it's P10, but Fernando Alonso is on a faster lap. Lewis Hamilton is on a faster lap as well. George Russell is going out here of Q2 once again. We're going to ignore that once again, but here we go. Lewis Hamilton's going to knock out his teammate. Surely Lewis Hamilton crosses the line. He's up to P7. George Russell is out again in qualifying in Q2 as Fernando Alonso jumps up to P4. And Alexander Albon is down in P15. It's George Russell in P12. Pierre Gasly in P11. The two McLarens, the two Alpines, Valtteri Bottas and Lewis Hamilton knocking George Russell out. And this Mercedes is slower than last year. I didn't think that was possible. In another battle against Alfa Romeo where we can move up to P3 in the constructor standings, George Russell is going to have to beat Pierre Gasly and Lewis Hamilton's going to have to beat Valtteri Bottas. But right now, it seems as though P7 and 8 is the best we can do. We need some improvements on this car. But Lewis Hamilton is still in Q3, but I'm not seeing us maybe finishing higher than 10th place. Right, so to finish up in Q3, I am manually controlling this here. What are we doing? What is that Ferrari doing on a very slow lap? Why is Lewis Hamilton going so fast? He slowed down a bit now. Okay, I might have done something wrong here, because he doesn't seem to be warming the tyres very much. He doesn't seem to be going very slow, but we're gonna come off of automatic. We are manually controlling it now because we are having some issues. So we're going on to push right now, attack on the tyres and deploy. Here we go. This is our first time on the qualifying lap using the manual control. Let's see what we can do as we've deployed a little bit of ERS here with Lewis Hamilton. Why is that not going? We're on deployed. There we go. We're still using it. We're going to leave it on deployed basically for the whole lap if we can. And Lewis Hamilton, can he improve from P9? Sector 1 he's gone green, so that's a decent start so far. Right, if this helps, we can see Ocon is half a second ahead of the Mercedes here. We are not doing a very good job here on this car. We have to improve it. George Russell obviously out of Q3 as Lewis Hamilton now comes towards the end of sector 2 here. Is it going to be a personal best? I imagine. No, he's gone slower in sector 2. He's on fresh tyres. How has he gone slower? What on earth have we done wrong? The tyres must be overheating or something. Let's take a look. No, not really. As we're coming towards the end. Why does this keep happening? Ignore that. We're going to push all the way to the end on overtake mode, which should hopefully give us a little bit more battery as we come towards the start-finish straight. And Lewis Hamilton crosses the line. He's up into P8. But the two McLaren Mercedes are... Well, Lando Norris is finished. Daniel Ricciardo, as he improved to get ahead of Lewis Hamilton. No, he hasn't. It's P8 for Lewis. As Alonso up in P6, Valtteri Bottas in P7. It's going to be another fight between ourselves and Alfa Romeo, but yeah, we need to fix this car and we need to fix it fast. Right, so onto the race we go then, and looking at the strategy, I don't think we're going to set one because there's going to be rain coming, and it's going to be coming at around about lap 14 or lap 15. So I think what we're going to do is just kind of wing it. We're not going to set a proper strategy, but we are going to start both cars on the medium tyre, because for 15 laps, I think the softs will drop off a little bit, and I'd rather go all out attack from the start, try to make up some places, and then when the rain comes, try to sort of solidify things, because obviously no DRS in the rain, we will find it hard in this car to overtake. So if we can get into the top 10 with George Russell, maybe up into sort of ahead of Valtteri Bottas anyway with Lewis Hamilton, that would be a good start to this race. So we're going on the mediums and we're going full attack to start this race. Attack mode, balanced and neutral. Yep, that's fine with Lewis Hamilton. And then we're going straight onto attack mode as well with George Russell. So we're doing that for the first sort of 14-15 laps of this race. We'll then probably have to jump onto intermediates, but we'll see how things go, and hopefully the strategy call goes our way.
It's bright and sunny as the drivers line up on the grid. Taking a look now at Mercedes. They're in the front half of the pack, so there's plenty of potential for them. We've got the other Mercedes here. Slower than most yesterday, so today they'll be starting from the bottom half of the grid. Everything's been building to this. The crowd are on their feet in anticipation of this, the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix. And it's lights out, and away we go.
Right, here we go then. A Ferrari front row lockout from the start as Lewis Hamilton in P8 and George Russell in P11. If we could get a positive start here, that would be fantastic, as he's outside Valtteri Bottas. Are we able to make up one position on the start of this race? Still currently side by side. No, we've had to tuck in behind Valtteri Bottas there. Got pushed a little bit wide there with Lewis Hamilton, so we're not able to get up into P7, but George Russell is up into P11. He's now attacking the McLaren of Daniel Ricciardo. What a brilliant move that was by George Russell. Can he make it stick? No, he can't. He's still behind the McLaren driver. Just pushing a little bit too hard. Just don't contact. No contact here. Don't go off the track. Don't lose it this early in the race. But it would be nice if we could get past both McLarens, who started on the hards, it looks like. Yes. Ricciardo on the hards, Norris on the hards, Alonso on the hards, Sainz on the hards as well. If we can get Lewis Hamilton past Bottas, I find he might be able to get onto the back of Alonso pretty quickly as well. So let's wait until the DRS is coming. Let's drop that down to aggressive, because they were saying the tyres are overheating a little bit. We should be using more tyres at this stage than the other drivers as it goes anyway. As we go onto overtake mode with Lewis Hamilton, can we get around the outside of Valtteri Bottas? No, he defends it quite well, as George Russell's lost out a little bit of time. He's still behind the McLarens as things stand, but I'm sure with a little bit more pace we can get him into the points.
Let's have a look. Now, just watch the Mercedes here.
Lewis Hamilton overtakes Valtteri Bottas then and is up ahead of Alonso as well. Those hard tyres not working well for the Alpine, but Lewis Hamilton has got clear of the Alfa Romeo driver. He's up into P6, and as you can see up ahead, Max Verstappen has not had the best start to this race. He's currently in E5 as things stand, behind Carlos Sainz. Esteban Ocon, he started brilliantly there up in P3 with Charles Leclerc, your current race leader, ahead of Sergio Perez. Right, Lewis Hamilton, we need him to kind of cruise on towards the back of Max Verstappen, 1.9 seconds. So we're going to go on to attack with Lewis Hamilton, try to close that gap, because if we can get some DRS with Lewis, then that will make things a lot harder for Valtteri Bottas. Behind, there is George Russell defending from Sebastian Vettel in the Alpha Tauri. Let's take a look at the tyres. Vettel's on soft, so this might be difficult to defend against here with George Russell, because Vettel is on the better tyre, but we have cleared Ricciardo, Norris and Gasly with George Russell. So the bare minimum we wanted to do this race was to finish both cars ahead of Alfa Romeo, and that's what we're doing so far, with Lewis in P6, George Russell currently in P9, but under attack from Sebastian Vettel.
Taking a look
Right, Sebastian Vettel with the DRS did get past George Russell then on the start-finish straight. Not really a surprise, those soft tyres working very well on the Alpha Tauri car. But as long as we stay in DRS, we should be fine. Lewis Hamilton has lost a place to Valtteri Bottas there. Not the best, but it should be okay because the rain is coming soon. We're on lap 11. The rain is scheduled to come in a couple of laps time. So I think if we start just attacking Valtteri Bottas here, we're on attack mode on the tyres. We're going to go push on the fuel as well. We're going to have DRS. It is open. Can we get this move done on Valtteri Bottas? We don't have much battery left, but if we can get past him before the rain comes, we should be okay. The tyres are overheating for George Russell, so we are going to calm things down there. Lewis Hamilton hasn't been complaining of the tyre wear, so he's going to keep pushing as George Russell is back past Sebastian Vettel. So there's a good overtake there by George Russell. Lap 12 and the rain is coming in. Let's take a look at the replay of this overtake. It's down the start finish straight as you'd expect here at Imola. No real overtaking opportunities apart from in DRS zones, and that's an easy move by the Mercedes driver. He's back up into P9.
So look for rain.
Right, so the rain is starting and it's coming down pretty heavy. So we are going to double stack the drivers in for intermediate tyres for Lewis Hamilton and George Russell as well, who is still defending pretty well here from AlphaTauri driver. Let's bring him in. I think there's more than 2 seconds between the two of them. 3.6. Let's take a look at the gap. George Russell, yeah, he's 4 seconds behind Alonso, so he'll be about 5 seconds behind Lewis Hamilton. As long as things go well, he should have an easy overtake. Sergio Perez locked up pretty badly on the previous lap, so he is now down into P6. Valtteri Bottas has got past. We're pushing on with Lewis Hamilton, and the track is getting damp, so we're now going on to intermediates as Verstappen's in the pits, and so is Carlos Sainz. So Ocon stayed out, Leclerc stayed out, Bottas is coming in, Perez doesn't come in. But we are going to get a jump potentially on a couple of drivers here. Here goes Lewis Hamilton. We need it to be a smooth stop, easy as you like. Here he goes, intermediates on. Here is George Russell behind. There you can see out went Lewis Hamilton. Perfect timing. George Russell, can he get a safe release? No, everyone's coming in, so he's wasted some time. A little bit of wasted time there for George Russell. He got a little bit unlucky, and now he's behind a few drivers that he was ahead of, I think. Unless the gap may be a little bit smaller. Lewis Hamilton has jumped the likes of Alonso and Bottas in the pit stop, so that's worked out brilliantly for Lewis Hamilton here. He's currently in P10, but a load of drivers have yet to pit, and George Russell's currently in P14. Let's bring that down to standard because these intermediate tyres are going to have to last a very long time, I think. At lap 15, apart from the slow release for George Russell, things are looking good for us right now. If Lewis Hamilton can just get past Mick Schumacher, please, because he is holding us up badly here.
yellow
Right, lap
flag.
17, and everyone's come into the pit stop, and Lewis Hamilton has found his way up into P5, ahead of Alonso, ahead of Perez, ahead of Bottas, and yeah, that's worked out brilliantly for Lewis Hamilton. He's now fighting Esteban Ocon in the Alpine. We might have an opportunity here to get a cheap overtake if we can push some of our battery. George Russell, not been as lucky, but still in P7, so he's made up a lot of places. He's jumped Perez and Bottas as well, but they are gaining behind, so we do have to watch out for that because they are going to be much faster than us. These intermediate tyres are going to have to go a while. I think they're going to have to pretty much go until the end of this race, because I don't see it getting much wetter, and I don't see it getting a lot drier until maybe the final 5 laps or so. So we need to nurse these intermediate tyres as we can. Everyone seems to be on the same sort of tyre wear, so we'll just kind of match what they're doing and try to get a jump on Esteban Ocon with Lewis and maybe close the gap to Alonso with George Russell if we can. But right now he is defending ahead of the Red Bull. Sergio Perez is defending quite well. Right, we've just passed the halfway mark of this race. Lewis Hamilton's still in P5, but he's been dropped by Esteban Ocon, who just has a lot of pace in that Alpine. And we can tell just how fast the Alpine is because Fernando Alonso getting very frustrated behind Lewis Hamilton here. He's not been able to get past him. It's been brilliant defending by Lewis Hamilton, but there's been nowhere to overtake, and the speed of Fernando Alonso is not really working out in his favour right now. George Russell in a similar position. He's been dropped by Sergio Perez after defending quite well from the Mexican driver, but he's still in P8 ahead of Valtteri Bottas, which again is a positive. We wanted both drivers to finish ahead of both Alfa Romeo drivers, which so far we are doing. Out in front, Max Verstappen leads from Carlos Sainz, but this is a brilliant battle for P1. The Ferrari driver looking to win at their home race here in Italy. Charles Leclerc comfortably in P3, being chased down a little bit by Esteban Ocon. I don't think he's really got the pace, but right now the main battles on the track are Lewis Hamilton holding up Fernando Alonso and George Russell holding up Valtteri Bottas, and neither can get past the Mercedes guys. As you can see there, Valtteri Bottas looking very aggressive. Right, so there are 10 laps left and Lewis Hamilton still sticks it out in P5. He's defending so well. The minute though that some DRS is activated, if at all, I think we could be in a little bit of trouble here because yeah, we definitely don't have the speed if they have DRS. And now Sergio Perez is cruised up to the back of Fernando Alonso. So thankfully, Alonso's not only attacking Hamilton now, he does have to do a bit of defending from the Red Bull driver. George Russell is still defending fantastically well from Valtteri Bottas. It must be very frustrating for the likes of Bottas to see the back of the Mercedes driver for about, what, 30 laps of this race now. One positive, Pierre Gasly is out of the points. He's been overtaken by Alexander Albon, who is doing a fantastic job here in Alpha Tauri. But it's going to be interesting. With 9 laps to go, Max Verstappen is still your race leader, though he's been challenged now by both Ferraris. Can he hang on to this race win, which will upset the Tifosi Massive in the crowd? But we are getting to the stage where some drivers might pit stop. The likes of Carlos Sainz is on 39% tyre wear, as is Alonso. We've done okay. We're on 40%. We managed to save our tyres a little bit, but when you get around that 30% mark on the tyre wear, you might start to want to come in. And we, so far, aren't worrying too much about that. So I don't think we need to stop again. I think we should be okay until the end of the race. It's not going to get drier. It's going to stay intermediate condition. So if anyone does come in, it will be for another set of intermediate tyres. I think we're going to go until the end on this one-stop strategy.
A position gained for Alfa Romeo. Let's see what happened there.
No, it was a little bit too good to be true there, as Valtteri Bottas has got past George Russell. It's a brilliant move down the inside. He's obviously used a little bit of battery there, but George Russell is now behind Valtteri Bottas. We do have a little bit of battery though with George Russell, so we're going to go on overtake and see if we can get him back. We've got a little bit of spare fuel as well, so let's push the fuel. Tire wear is still okay. It's better than
Reduce
Bottas.
the
Anyway,
focus.
can we get this position back with George Russell as we go down the inside at the exact same spot where Valtteri Bottas tried to get this move done on George Russell, and I think he's done it. George Russell back
Good
up
job
into
there.
P8. That is brilliant, brilliant driving there
Leave
by
focus for fuel.
the Mercedes driver. Brilliant stuff there from our guy
Mercedes moved
George
up a
Russell
place.
up into
Let's
P8.
have a
Let's
look.
take a look at the
Now let's
replay
look at this.
once
Here's
again.
George
They're going
Russell.
side by side into that same chicane, the exact same maneuver that he done against, well, that Bottas done against George Russell. But
Gaining a
this time,
position
our
there.
guy comes out
They
on
make
top.
it look
Brilliant
so
stuff.
easy.
Verstappen has taken the flag for the final time. It is the last lap of the Imola Grand Prix, and behind him, Carlos Sainz is now defending from Charles Leclerc. Esteban Ocon's been comfortable in P4 all race. Lewis Hamilton is still defending Fernando Alonso for P5, who is ahead of Sergio Perez, and George Russell has closed up, and also he opened up a little bit of a gap to Valtteri Bottas, but now he's not really got that gap anymore. We are going to push on the fuel with both of our drivers because we do have enough fuel in order to make it work, and a P5 and a P8 here would not be too bad for both of our drivers considering the position we started this race off in qualifying. So can we come home ahead of Fernando Alonso here with Lewis Hamilton? We're going to put on defend on the ERS because there's a maneuver here potential for Fernando Alonso, and Lewis Hamilton, we just need you to stay in P5. What we're actually going to do, because it's the final lap, we're just going to go aggressive on the tyres with both of our drivers, because why not? As long as they stay on the track, we should be okay. There is a yellow flag though, who is off. Oh, Carlos Sainz has binned it. Carlos Sainz has crashed. Charles Leclerc is going to have a accident as well. Esteban Ocon is going to finish on the podium, but there's a crash here involving the Ferraris. What has happened? Charles Leclerc is behind Carlos Sainz. He has locked up. Oh, and he's wiped his teammate out. Carlos Sainz is not going to finish this race. Verstappen wins. Leclerc has just come home in second place with no front wing. Esteban Ocon is going to finish on the podium, as we see here. Drama on the last lap. Max Verstappen takes the checkered flag, and it's another race win for him. He started this season brilliantly, as Lewis Hamilton now should be coming around the final corner ahead of, you can see in the distance there, that Ferrari. Lewis Hamilton's up into P4. What a performance that is for us. A surprising result. Unlucky not to be on the last step of the podium there, but he comes home in P4, and George Russell coming home in P7, crossing the line now, and Lando Norris is going to get a point. Valtteri Bottas finishes P8. Alexander Albon with a fantastic drive for the Alpha Tauri coming home in P9, and Lando Norris finishing in P10. But wow, Carlos Sainz, who did have the fastest lap of the race, has been wiped out by Charles Leclerc, who's going to get a massive penalty for that. I think it's only about 5 seconds though, actually. Will get us P2.
Lewis Hamilton did okay here today. There's no doubt that Mercedes have a lot of potential. Now they need to figure out how to make it work for them.
Yes, I imagine they'll roll up their sleeves now and make sure their next performance goes even better.
That's right, and they finished the race weekend in third place in the constructor standings.
Coming up next, the teams will be taking a trip to the Sunshine State. The Hard Rock Stadium is laying down the track for a captivating race at the Miami Grand Prix.
Well, it couldn't have happened at a worse place either, as in front of the home Italian fans, Charles Leclerc messes up and wipes out a double podium finish for Ferrari. He's actually lucky to finish that race. That was a massive impact, and there's going to be drama now at Maranello for the foreseeable future. Tension could be rising between the two drivers. Good drive by both of our guys. Lewis Hamilton to finish in P4, George Russell in P7. And what that means for the driver's standard is now Max Verstappen leads He's got a 30-point gap ahead of Lewis Hamilton, who's yet to step on the podium. By this time last season, we did have at least one podium because we obviously won at Australia. Lewis Hamilton. Esteban Ocon goes above George Russell, who's down in 8th so far this season. So not the best start. Constructors-wise, though, positive for us. We have jumped Alfa Romeo in the standings, and now we're currently 44 points behind Ferrari in the race for P2. So yeah, some positive to look forward to. We're up into P3 now. If we can start getting those upgrades in and pushing the car as much as we can, getting some speed, I'm hoping that we can close the gap on P2 as soon as possible. In terms of our development, Lewis Hamilton gets a development point, which is fantastic. We'll use that at the start of the next episode, and that next episode is heading to Miami. Sponsorship wise, we did not get the reach Q3 with both drivers, but we did bring in a cool 3.5 million from all of our sponsorships elsewhere. So brilliant stuff there. That's going to be the end of this episode, where there wasn't much drama until the end of the race, and what drama there was in Italy, as the manufacturing has been complete for the suspension. I do appreciate you watching this series. I hope you are still enjoying it. Smash the like button if you are, and if you are new around here, hit the subscribe button as well. We are on course to reach 200 subscribers hopefully by the end of the year, so that will be the next target. And the next target for this Mercedes team is the Miami International Autodrome, so we will be pushing on there and will hopefully get ourselves a decent performance there in Miami. So in the meantime, take care, stay safe, and I'll see you for the next episode.